3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Bobcast. Today on the show I have my friend Bridget Scisco. Bridget, how are you today?
I'm doing amazing. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yes, you too. I mean, I just was on your podcast, which is a little bit different format, but still, we're just clicking, and I'm like, okay, Bobcast is going to be that, just like down as many rabbit holes as possible. So I'm really glad to have you here. Before we dive in, because I know we're just going to go right in, can you just let people know who you are, a gist of who you are and what you do to set the context, and then we can just let it roll?
Yeah, sometimes I play with this, intro line. I literally, for work, teach people how to introduce themselves. But sometimes I just like to play with, I am Bridget, I am a dog mom, I am a wife, I'm a trail runner, I do Spartan races, I teach yoga, I have a business, I have a podcast. I just do a lot of things, and I enjoy life. And we'll start there today.
Would you consider yourself then multi-passionate? Do you like that terminology?
For sure.
Yeah, I like it too. Actually, my friend Jenna said that for the first time I ever heard it was on this podcast. She's been on like 2 or 3 times, and she like raced like cars, like on like a dirt track. Like she was so badass, and I'm like, that is such a cool term. I feel weird like describing myself that way, but I also do feel like if you know if you're multi-passionate, like you just know because you have a similar level of energy towards like multiple things, and then it feels like, I don't know if this is what it feels like for you, but it feels like if you go too far in any one of them, then you're pulling back from the other ones, and then that the balance gets off. But then in society you're supposed to think like, no, you're supposed to just go on your one track, and then you're like, wait, but society is trying to tell me I'm supposed to go on my one track and not all my 4 tracks or whatever. So I don't know how it feels for you.
Yeah, I've never done well with society or people being like, you should just do one thing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's dumb. I'm a person who has lots of interests. I like lots of things. I like to explore. I'm very curious. I'm very adventurous. So anyone telling me that I should be a certain way, just never really, I wasn't good with that.
So how did this all kind of, like you said, you listed them off, but like, was there a moment in time where you made a decision to pursue all the things that you wanted to do? And if so, when was that?
Yeah. So, okay. What I actually do right now, I have a podcast called She Builds Empires. I have a publishing company where I support mostly women entrepreneurs to help them publish their books, market their books, and reach the people they want to reach with those books. And I also am the co-creator of a program called Visibility on Purpose, where I teach business owners how to basically pitch and land media placements. So with that, how the heck did I get there? I always start with illness at like 13, 14, 15. My mom always would take us hiking in the woods, and I don't know where I got this tick, but I got Lyme disease at a very, very young age. And because of that, they put me on so many antibiotics. I was going to the doctor all the time. It was just like not a good time in my life to be trying to figure out who I am in like early teenage years. Like those are the awkward years where you're like, who am I? What is the world? And here I am going to doctor's visits and like having these like infections, and it was just like a shitty time. But because of that, because of my frustration with the doctors, I started to go on my own journey of holistic healing, of studying Ayurveda, of acupuncture, food as nutrition, and like starting to see that the medical system, I don't know if they had my best interests in mind. They weren't helping me get to the root cause. So because of that, I really found myself as a person who wasn't going to easily listen to what others were going to tell me what to do. Whether it was the medical establishment, whether it was my parents at that time, whether it was like society trying to tell me who I should be, especially as I got older. So I'll pause there for a moment, because that was a young age, Bridget.
Yeah, wow, what a great place to start too, because I feel weird sometimes asking people. I'm not really the type of podcaster to go like start in childhood, like take me all the way back, because then I don't know where people are going to go, and then it might just be a disaster. So I appreciate you honing in on that one spot. We actually had a guest, Sean Nastalon is his name. He's probably the healthiest person that I've ever met, and he has a similar story, not the details, but I don't know if you remember his story about, I think he broke his like leg or something.
Yeah, he got some type of leg injury that he was like, he couldn't walk for a certain amount of time,
and from that point that's when it began. And similar age to you too, and it's unfortunate that these things happen, but it's also fortunate that you realize you cultivate this mindset when you're young and not when you're 43. It's better if it happens when you're 13. It's not good that you have the illness, but it is at least if you can, the earlier you become self-aware in any facet is the better. You know?
It was absolutely the greatest catalyst of my life. It was the greatest blessing of my life. I wouldn't change anything about it. I learned so much. I felt like I literally had a spiritual awakening in like my mid-teenage years, because I started to like look at the world around me, and I was like, I feel like not everything is as it seems.
Yeah, and it's not. And you can go as deep as you want on that. So when it came to what you're gonna do in life, were you pushed by your parents? Were they influential? Like, did you think you were gonna do something else? Did you have any idea you would be doing what you're doing today?
Somewhat. So my parents have been very influential in my life. My dad is a very successful entrepreneur and owns a wealth management business, and he and my mom both, my mom is an accountant and then did some network marketing businesses, and now is a health coach also. They both were very much to support creative endeavors between like my brother and sister and I. My brother, sister, and I are extremely all different. We all have extremely different interests, right? Like one went the theater path, one works at Google, I'm the entrepreneur. So absolutely parents played a huge role. But, you know, I went to college. I went to Rutgers, studied communications and digital marketing, which like does make sense for what I do today. But I had no freaking clue what I wanted to do in college. I had no idea, like none at all. Did you know what you wanted to do?
No, I found one thing. I was in a liberal arts community college degree, and I took one business class my last semester, and that sparked it. I had been listening to stuff that related to it, but I didn't grasp onto them, and then it was one class, and then I met a kid who traded on the stock market in the same semester in a different class, and then it all just came.
You're like, this is it.
Yes, it all kind of came together, and then I started to become not, I guess, obsessed with it, but I also was equally obsessed with the lifestyle stuff too, which is like, you know, health and nutrition, and also I've been on every spectrum of that, you know, so I realized I was like, okay, I'm going to follow the people that intertwine this stuff. Like, I look up to an entrepreneur who's jacked, you know, like if you're overweight, cool, that's totally fine, you're living your life, but like, that's not what I aspire to be like. So if there's successful people that all do what I want to do and look how I want to look, okay, cool, that's
Nick
what I
Bear
want to do.
is my idol. Do you know who he is?
No.
Oh, he runs
what's his name?
Nick Bear. B-A-R-E. Yeah, Nick Bear. He runs a company called Bear Performance Nutrition, and he was in the army. He is like huge. He is jacked. He also is an ultra runner, so runs like distance, but he's jacked at the same time and makes YouTube videos. And his whole like philosophy is go one more, but he's like super successful, has a beautiful relationship, at least what it looks like from the outside, and is really in shape and like cares about his health and like just seems like a good person, you know? So if you want a good person to look into,
I'll add another one. I watched a Goggins video today. So we should pull up this Goggins video too, maybe. But so Goggins, he's on the treadmill, right? And he's like, yeah, this guy comes up to me in the gym. I'm in the gym. I just ran 15 miles. Now I'm in the gym. And he said, David, what do you think about overtraining? Are you concerned with overtraining? And he was like, this is crazy coming from a guy who doesn't even train. and he goes, people think I'm dumping water on myself. So he takes his shirt off, wrings it out, and goes, okay, throws it on the floor, keeps going. And it's like, those people, I go, you're living a different life.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. I don't know what's in there, but like,
I'm interested.
Yeah. Or something, you know? Because it's like, damn, they have like a kind of gear that I think a lot of people don't have. I think I have a gear that a lot of people don't have, and then I see people like that, and I'm like, my gear is like pretty normal, you know?
Yeah, I think he like pooped himself when he ran his like marathon or something like that. So, I mean, I'm not really interested in that. I like running because I like to push myself in that way, but I'm not really trying to have that happen.
Did you always have the fitness component, or like when did that come in?
Yeah, I've been an athlete my whole life, played soccer, ran track. I was a really good runner growing up. My mom is also a really good runner. So that was always like part of my life. And I really got into it more, I would say, in the last like 7 years, because there's something really beautiful about athletics being an athlete and entrepreneurship, because God knows, like, the journey of running and building your own business is not for the faint of heart. Like, this shit's hard. And you go through so many ups and downs. Like, there's been so many times where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? Who are you? Are you even good at this? All that stuff. And what I love about, especially endurance sports, is that, like, you have to ride those waves. You go through those moments of, like, in this 15-mile run where you're like, okay, this was a really dumb idea. Like, why did I pay for this? Like, I literally paid money for this. Why am I doing this? And I love to use that as, like, the metaphor. It helps me get through it all.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, to think about that, like, it's not, there's not an end. It just, like, it gets harder. Things get harder, but you get better at dealing with hard things. It's not like, I think a lot of people see an outcome and they're like, oh, I'll achieve the outcome, then things will be easy. Mm-hmm. Whereas, this is something I said on the last episode, which was, people want the shortcut. They want to do less, get more results. Mm-hmm. Over time, you do more, you get a small amount of result, but that result just compounds. Mm-hmm. And that's where the success a lot of times comes from. That's the overnight success taking 10 years.
Absolutely.
But there's cheat codes. Like, there's I think massive cheat code. When I started my business, I called everybody up who did that. Yeah. And they gave me 5 years of failures that I learned from that, wrote it down. I just skipped like 3 years of shit. You know? So that was a cheat code. There's like real life cheat codes, but they're not going to make you, you know?
Yeah, I think it's somewhat of an unpopular belief. You know, I'm also extremely spiritual. I am a Kundalini yoga teacher. I teach Kundalini yoga. I've had a spiritual practice for a long time. And I probably come at it with a little bit of a different perspective because I am love and light. And I'm also, like, hard. I'm also, like, let's get down and dirty. Like, let's get in the ring and actually push ourselves. And sometimes that isn't as much in the flow. I really believe that, like, we need both. We need to be able to, like, receive and, like, you know, be able to sit in meditation, receive an answer, receive, like, our next step in our journey. But we also need to be able to, like, drive forward. And there seems to be, with some people, they don't take the step. Like, they're scared. I'm just not scared.
Well, would you say to somebody who's like, listen, I just don't have the time for these things? I mean, like, I'm doing my thing, I'm living my life, I'm paying my bills, but why am I gonna sit down for 15 minutes to meditate? Why am I gonna try this yoga practice that I saw on YouTube or something? I think about that because that would be my mindset if I didn't do these things.
Yeah. For me, it's a non-negotiable, and I'm also, like, not here to convince people of doing it.
Mm. Do you think it comes to you kind of when you need it, or for some people?
My daily practice is non-negotiable. Like, every single day, I do Kundalini yoga. I chant. I'm a freaking weirdo. And
what is it? What do you mean chant?
So on the car ride here, I was literally listening to mantras. Well, I was listening to Crime Junkie first, and then I was like, this is so dark, I can't listen to it anymore. So then I started listening to mantras, and I love mantra because mantra is a tool or a vehicle to reprogram the subconscious mind. So, like, sound, we obviously know sound is so important. It's everything. It permeates everything. And the idea with mantra is the point of repetition is to reprogram and repivot, redirect the mind to something else. So here I am, driving to Bumblefuck.
For real, welcome. Here we are.
And I'm chanting because it just helps me. Like, I get in touch with a part of myself that is beyond logical comprehension and words and my name.
There's a vibration to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that stuff, I love that stuff. I'm, like, kind of geeky about, like, vibration, frequency, and sound.
Do you follow Tara Brach?
No.
Yeah, she's amazing. You'll dive into all her stuff.
Oh, I need to know.
She's great. I do all her guided meditations. I got her on Spotify. I just check my Spotify. If there's a new one that day, I do it. If not, I do my own thing.
I love that.
But I've been doing it. It started spiritual for me, but I started with, like, Sam Harris. So he's more, like, the most logical person in the world. So it's learning meditation from that guy is just very kind of, I don't want to say systematic. There's a spiritual component, but for sure I'm just trying to mentally, like, this is more for my mind than it is for, like, my spirit. I don't know, you know, like, I feel like spiritually, I don't know. I'm in a position where I meditate every day. I've been doing it for 5 years. My life's different because of it. I know that. Like, I see the practical stuff, but the spiritual stuff, like religion, I never connected with. All these different any different religion really that I've went into. I was Christian when I was a kid, and then I got out of that. But I feel like when I hear now, I've been second guessing the spiritual side of it, because I'm like, what are these people really talking about? Because after you meditate for 3 years, you think I must be spiritual. But now I'm thinking, I'm seeing people, I hear people talk about it, or people at a higher level, or some meditation teacher, maybe they'll talk about spirituality, but then the things that they're telling you to do, it becomes like practical in your life. So I'm like, okay, is that spirituality? Is it this practical side of it? Or is there like another dimension here that I'm only maybe reaching with psychedelics? Or, you know, because I reach different stages with psychedelics that I don't with meditation. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, maybe there's this other level. Are people reaching it with just meditation? Or am I just chilling and I got to just do me, you know?
I think it's possible. I think like these practical applications are like the front door, and it's like everyone's able to meet and like go through that front door, but how deep are you willing to go in the house? How deep are you willing to like sit with yourself and your discomfort? I've gone some pretty deep meditations where I'm like, what is this all? What is, like, what? We're also on a floating planet. Like, what is this? Yeah. What is this? And we're only here for a little bit of time, but like maybe my soul's here for more, and like I've already been here before. I don't have all the answers. I am curious though.
Yeah, there's something to it for sure. Like there's something happening where there's layers to this. Yeah. And well, you take somebody who has done an eighth of psilocybin mushrooms maybe, and then you take somebody who hasn't. It's like the person who has, they've gone to an area that the other person, like you would suspect, has not gone to. Like there's definitely an area that this person went to in their mind that you're not getting, you know? So that seems to be the shortcut. That brings you to the back of the house. You go, and then 48 minutes later, an hour and 20 minutes later, you're in the back of the house. But every day, if you do your little meditation, you open the door, hey, what's going on in there, man? What's going on? You're like looking around. But yeah, I think for me it would be time. Maybe I like my 15-minute. I've got that down. That's my non-negotiable, but not every day. I like on the weekends.
I think we have to be human with it too, because I can also get super, super rigid with myself around these things. And then I'm always like, yeah, but like I'm human. Like I'm also here to like enjoy the luxuries of like being human, right? I remember when so to give you a little bit more of this story, I graduated from Rutgers. I got a job at Yelp doing sales and marketing, and absolutely hated that. It was sucking my soul out. I went on a hike with my family.
You were reading all those bad Yelp reviews and it was getting in your head.
I was getting overwhelmed. Absolutely. We went to Yosemite. I like look out the world. I'm like, there's so much more out there. I'm cold calling 100 people a day. Like I can't do this. So I quit the job. Parents supported. I had a lot of like support in many, many times in my life, and still do to this day. So I quit the job. I thought I was going to go to acupuncture school, because I was like, you know, I love holistic medicine. I think the medical establishment's a sham, you know, yada, yada. I'm going to go a different route. So didn't feel like studying for the bio-CLEP exam, and I was like, screw that. I'm going to become a yoga teacher. So I went to Ibiza and studied yoga and Ayurveda. And everyone's like, Bridget, you went to Ibiza and studied yoga and Ayurveda? You're lying. I swear, I'm telling the truth. But there's many times, you know, I dove so deep into this practice that it was hard for me to like reacclimate to like the world. Like even like music and TV shows, I didn't understand football. Like I had gone so extreme where I needed to like come back down to earth. And now I'm very much, I like to think of myself as the bridge. Like I think that's my name for a reason. I'm very much the bridge between like super practical, super down to earth, and like I can absolutely talk about everything beyond.
But this was more recent, the bridge realization. This was
okay. Let's see. That was time. So yoga was.
How far did you go? Like you're saying, you had to come back. Like how far? Like where like you said, you forgot how you know sports work. But
I didn't understand the purpose of sports anymore. I was like, well, I still do think some things are
what
like
was
crazy.
I guess day to day too. Like were you just like meditating all day or doing yoga all day or something?
No. So I came home from my trip and I moved back to my parents' house. So first of all, like shocked to be back in my parents' house. Too? Not that long. I was literally
weeks.
Weeks.
Oh, okay.
I was in Europe for a couple months, but I was during my yoga teacher training. It was about 5 weeks. So I come back into like my childhood home, where I've lived for all my life. The friends around me knew the different version of me, So I almost felt like I was like living this like polar experience, like this dichotomy of a human. Because I was like, here's Bridget who would like be Irish dancing on a table at 2 a.m. drunk. Here's Bridget who wants to go to an ashram. You know, it was confusing. Let's just say that.
Yeah. No, I see that too. That happens with myself as well, with friends where most of us have changed. Like most of all my friends, like ones who haven't changed, you know, we don't really hang out as much. But I do always think back, like very often, to the other version, you know, and then this version is just obsessed with this shit that the other version had no idea about. Yeah. And like you go, oh, I went down this rabbit hole, man. You know, and now I'm here. The other version would be wondering how that happened, you know, but I'm glad that I'm here where I'm at for sure. But.
And then sometimes I think about how is everything just happening at the same time too? Like if time isn't so linear and it's all actually like stacked on itself, are there parts of me that are still that? Like that are still connected to that like old identity that I perceive to be in the past, but it's really like right now also. Definitely.
I mean, I think that definitely you're still that as much as you're not that, because you know that your skin may die and then you form new skin, but it's like you're the same entity basically. So and that comes in the form a lot of times of habits with people, you know. Think I've been drinking coffee forever, you know. I just drink coffee, like that's just me, you know. It's embedded. So there's those things that in reality that's how they show up, you know. And a lot of times with most people it's with their relationships. So then when those relationships change, or somebody grows or the other person disappears or whatever, goes on their own track, that's when you get a chance to grow. I feel like that's what happened to me too, where I couldn't do these repetitive habits with these same people. Things changed, so then I had to either, what was I going to do? What was I going to sit by myself, you know? Basically. So I'm not going to do those. If I'm by myself, I'm not going to do the same things that I would do with the people who I hung out with every single day, you know?
And that's like hard, because it's like a part of a relationship kind of dies, right? And how do you come to peace with like people that you've loved, grown up with, had incredible times together, but you're literally just like not the same person, or you don't want to continue on that path? It's like you can see where you go if you continue the same habits, the same people, the same thing. We're going to be the same thing. But if we desire to be anything different, we have to create a new experience. We have to surround ourselves with people. Like, we all know this stuff, right? We have to surround ourselves with people who are doing the things that we want to be doing. We have to show up and doing the things that we want to be doing that get us to the results that we desire. But it's still not easy to like let these things go and like let friendships change and then find a new group of people.
Yeah, and you want to keep, I still want to keep my ear to the ground with the homies though. You know what I'm saying? Like with the boys, like with the day ones, like I still want to be there. Like, I still want to be in that group chat or whatever, you know? And I want to know what's going on. But I know that 90% of the stuff I talk about all day is not really going to be a conversation. Yeah. And so, but that's kind of a good thing too, because then you start to realize like, oh, wait, it's not all about me. This person changed too.
So true. So true. And you know what, you bring up a really good point. Like, I think it's been interesting the past 2 years because people have been like 2.5, whatever. People have been like super at each other for their beliefs, but there's actually something beautiful about all coming in with a different perspective and being able to listen and just like see someone for like what they believe and like how they feel, and just like honoring that, not as, you know, not as your truth, but just like letting them be. So there is something beautiful to be in community with those people, which maybe I didn't recognize until now.
Yes, definitely. And to be on the outside to recognize that, oh, okay, these are the beliefs, cool, and just observe them.
Yeah, like, okay, interesting. Interesting. And I did this podcast with my friend Kaylee, and we were really talking about like community, say like Native American community. Everyone had a different role. Not everyone was thinking the same thing. Everyone had different views, different tasks, different roles within the community so that they can serve the community at large. If everyone thinks the same way, it's just not going to be a good place. That's going to be a pretty boring place to live, actually, if you ask me.
That's why I would be bored out of my mind if I was one of these people who just only follows the people that they agree with and only supports the one side. Like, that was a point that I've made multiple times, which is tribalism now is way different. That's the thing, you know? So it used to be like, these are the people in my tribe. I could probably see them all in one place. And whether it was your community or your family or an actual tribe, you know, depending on the civilization, now the tribe is so big that it can't keep track of the people, so it's trying to keep track of the ideas. So it's like, okay, I see you on the street. I don't know if you're in my tribe unless you say, I believe this idea. Okay, no, you are in my tribe. All right, good stuff. You know, but since the fact that there's billions of people, now it used to be obvious. You used to just know the people in your tribe. Those were the people. Cool. Yeah, we all had our own ideas, but we're all part of this community or part of this family or part of this group of friends, you know? And now there's tribes with millions of people. When you think about it, you get a tribe of 2 million people. That's not a lot of people. It seems like it is, but it's not. And so now everything's so fragmented. So you have all the little offshoot tribes that are little tiny guys, and then you have the big, you know, politics is the you know, best example of the big ones. But it's not just politics. It's also health. It's also vegan. It's also carnivore.
I love that one.
It's also nutrition.
I love it all.
It's you know, and it's fun. I think it's a lot of fun, you know, and to dive into those things. And I wish that I had more people on this podcast who had different ideas. Like, I try to keep the ideas, like, you know, I try to have people on different sides, but it's, you know, that's the most fun to me, you know?
Yeah, I was vegetarian for a little bit of time, and I had, like, just personally, right, my personal opinion, I had a lot of ahas about, like, why am I identifying with a way that I eat? If I'm human and, like, you know, God has given all this, like, food and land and animals. Why am I labeling myself with what I eat? And also, props to my husband for, like, talking a little bit more about the natural cycle of death. Like, do we think animals actually die a, like, slumber death? No, a lot of them are, like, slaughtered. And that was really hard for me to be like, oh, shit, is that true? And then to do research on it and, like, change my view on all of this. Because yoga community, ahimsa, is nonviolence towards anyone, animals included. And I eat meat. A lot of it.
Any specific, all meat? Do you have a favorite? Is it?
I love meat.
I'm with you.
It's so good.
Do you have, like, a certain diet that you follow or anything?
No.
Or, like, foods that you eat or calories or none of that shit?
No.
I don't either.
None of it. When I was younger, absolutely counting calories, like insane kind of shit. Insane
so
stuff.
crazy to think that that's people
I'm
do
like,
that,
oh my God.
If you're not a bodybuilder, like, you're
exactly. Good. Like, I've never felt, I love my body. And, like, if you would have asked me that, like, years ago, it would have been absolutely no way. My relationship has changed so much because I stopped caring so much about all the little things, and I started just asking myself, is this nourishing me? What am I putting into my body? Just like everything. What am I consuming? In general, am I consuming good quality conversations with people like you? Am I consuming, like, garbage reality TV? What am I consuming? What we consume
mental diet.
Us. Mental diet.
Yeah, and people aren't checking their shit, man. They're going too far in one category, or they're going full physical diet, and then they just consume a shit mental diet. Mostly not the case. I mean, you get somebody who, I mean, listen, I've seen a vegan who looks like they're starved. Listen, like, I don't think they're getting their vitamins. I've seen it happen. I've seen carnivores who are, you know, not carnivores, but, you know, I guess omnivores who are just, you know, definitely not healthy, right? So it's sides of the spectrum 100%. But yeah, it's I do like that where you go, okay, imagine, like, I'm vegan and it's insane. Oh, we're killing all these animals. Isn't it crazy? Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's look at this. Okay. Zoom out from that. Well, you know, I'm vegan, you know, or I'm vegetarian. And by the way, I'm just using that. I'm carnivore, I'm pescatarian, whatever it is. You just zoomed out further than the ideology, you know? Because the ideology goes, no. Look at the big picture. Look what's happening. No, zoom out further than that. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's what you would, or basically what you did, but what I think is healthy to do. And that's what I try to do too. I can't see right wing and left wing. I can't. I have to go, okay, this thing is good. That seems a little shitty. And same thing with diet. Okay, I like meat. That's good. But wait. Only eat meat? And no, I like vegetables. It makes me feel good. Okay, I'll eat vegetables. And then you start to add, it's kind of elimination diet. And you could do that with your media or the things, your people. Elimination diet, that shit, you know? Not that you gotta, and I don't like this, like, cut people off, you know, fuck them, you know, they're not healthy for you, they're not building you up. Like, dude, there's connections that there's people in your life who are literally at rock bottom right now who are gonna fucking be killing life in like 15 years, and you'd be sorry if you put them down.
So true.
So don't burn the bridges, for sure. Another podcast name idea for you, maybe. But Goggins, who's gonna carry the boats? Don't burn the bridges, you know. But
burn the bridges. I think you said something really important, and it has to do with all of the topics that are the most polarized in society, which are politics, which are religion, which is like healthcare right now, which is diet. If we were to zoom out, we would see something very different. We would see like the beautiful cosmic interplay of it all. But I'm also like very much a gray area dancer. I'm just like I'm not all one thing. Like I'm just like how we started this podcast. Like I'm all of it. I see you. I hear you. I don't totally agree, but I love you and I see you. Yeah. You know, and it's not about the one way of doing something. Like there's just so many ways. I mean, think about religion. So I was raised Irish Catholic, you know, you go to CCD, you go to church, you get married in the church. Didn't do that. And what I didn't understand was why people could say that this is the only way of getting to God. And I'm like, isn't the whole message how he loves everyone? This doesn't make sense. And I remember I read a great book. It was called Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And he talks about the beauty of all religions. Like this guy was, I believe he was Hindu. He was talking about Jesus Christ and just all of these different like major kind of Godhead figures and how they were all saying the same message. And I'm like, that's it right there. But we're fighting each other because they say one thing different. People are blind. If they can't see that we're all human beings on this planet, like trying to do our best. And if you're fighting people over the religion that you have, I think that's not cool.
It's the minority too. Yeah. Most people are not fighting the other side. Most people are not arguing with the other side. Most of them are really just sticking to what they're doing, and they're not here to control anybody. I really do believe that that's most people. I think the fringes of these things,
we see those.
The exception starts to define the rule, and that's when things get freaky, because that's what makes the polarization, because the one side goes, that side's crazy. No. 1% of that side's crazy.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at most people, if you're looking at the majorities in a side of anything, they're not the radicals by definition. So if you take the non-radicals from one and the non-radicals from the other, they're probably they'll be fine. You know, they'll probably explore their differences,
which would be so beneficial. Gosh, have you ever heard of the book Reality Transurfing? No. By, I think it's Vladimir Zeland. And basically he talks about like these highly polarized, charged topics are what are typically broadcast out there. So like religion, politics, like all these big things that we're talking about. And they basically hook people in because so many people get attached to the emotionality of the polarization of the thing. COVID's a great example. You know what I mean? If you could not be thinking of anything creative and thinking about how crazy everything is going on. So the idea is to be observant of these like highly polarized thought streams, like religion, like mass media, like the news, and basically be able to unhook yourself, observe the thought stream, and then move on your creative way.
And you would think that the things that point out the hypocrisy would make people wake up, but it only helps the other side, or that side. Idiocracy is a great movie. I'm not sure if you've seen it. There's a lot of tropes. Sorry to bother you. I'm not sure if you've seen it. So I just watched this last night. So many great tropes in it, you know? But so they have a Mark Zuckerberg character, right? The guy finds out that, so he moves up. So basically the main character moves up as a salesman in this company, right? He finds out that the company that he works for sells these basically these lifetime subscriptions. It's essentially they're the example that they're trying to portray as if Amazon, you didn't only work at Amazon the warehouse, but you live there, like in cots, right? And it was called like stress-free life or something like that. Yeah, and that was like the thing that he was selling, and he was like not, you know, he was a nobody. He like lived in a garage, like I do too, but you know, but he could pay his rent. I pay my rent, guys. Okay. But he couldn't pay his rent, and he was like, there's nobody in society. Then he goes up this sales role, and the the company that he's selling for, right? This company that's trying to design, basically they're selling you, hey, your life will be stress-free. Come work for us. You live here. We feed you. We do all this stuff. Amazon on steroids, basically. And so the founder of the company brings him in. He's like, listen, I want you to sell for me. I want you to work for me. He's like, all right, but I got to go take a piss. So he goes to take a piss, and he walks in this room, and man, this is a massive spoiler alert, by the way. Damn, I should have prefaced with that. Spoiler alert, sorry to bother you. It's been out, guys. So he goes down this hallway, and he's going to find the bathroom, and he finds half, it's called Equisapiens, half horse, half human, humanoid workers that this guy designed, right? So he goes, I wish I had a video of this, right? He wants to leak it because he doesn't care anymore. He realizes that it's all a sham, that this guy just wants to create these humanoids. And so the video, the Equisapiens get a hold of the phone, and they text the video to the guy's girlfriend. He takes the video, he posts it. The stock goes up 1,000%, right? So it's like, that's the example. Like, this guy was a Mark Zuckerberg-esque, Bezos-esque character. They're doing cocaine. It was like the whole thing. They leak the video of half horse, half human people that this guy's trying to make this entire race of new people to work for him.
And people just invest in the stock.
And people just go, oh, wow, what a technological advancement.
Right, we need that.
Let's go.
I don't think... Not everyone has the ability or awareness to zoom out and be like, what's really going on here? That's weird.
Well, because to zoom out, you have to zoom in. That's the issue, is that you have to go so far deep into these things. Yeah. And then you become a conspiracy theorist. And like the problem with conspiracy is that by definition, it's just conspiring. It's just people making a plan together, essentially. So the word got hijacked. It's like meditation. It's, meditation... Headspace app.
That was good.
Wow. Calm down. It's an app. This stuff is not that simple. It's like spiritual, So, as you know. But the thing that they're trying to do is simplify it.
Yeah.
So, if you want to look at it, then you start going down rabbit holes. I don't think meditation has any conspiracy theory attached to it, really. It's probably people disagreeing on when meditation started or something like that.
Or typically the leaders of the religious movement who have maybe done some shady things.
Well, that's the thing. And like you said, the getting married in a church makes no sense to me. Churches, I never really had fun in a church.
No, I remember begging my parents, and if they listen to this, you remember me begging you not to go to CCD. Like, I didn't understand it. And like, I was somewhat like of a bigger, broader thinker, and like, it just didn't make sense to me. Just didn't all make sense. It was not relatable. It was not helping me as a person, I didn't think at that point. However, the fundamentals of all religions are actually really beautiful. And I do appreciate that, but I don't appreciate something being shoved down my throat and then me saying that I'm not going to be seen in God's eyes or go to heaven because of my beliefs or whatever. That's silly.
The thing is, too, when you start learning about the other ones, that one you start to go, wait. You don't have to do a Hail Mary. I'm in there, dude. Give me that one. I don't want to sit here and like, all right, let's say this stuff, And then, so why do they get to do that?
Yeah,
just
actually,
these people said.
I went to a Lutheran youth group, like growing up in maybe middle school and high school. It was great. We all just hung out with our friends and like sang church music, which I love. I love singing.
Oh man,
so that was great.
If CCD was singing, I would have been.
I love Christian music.
But the choirs are so like freaking.
Yeah, they're
have a little
so
creativity,
good.
man. Like exactly. Like that's the lean into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was me too. I begged not to go, and then 7th grade they let me quit. Before I got the communion.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever the last thing.
Yeah,
was.
confirmation.
Before I got that, they let me down. Yeah. So for me, it was I quit wrestling halfway. I was 5 years old.
Okay.
Then I quit Boy Scouts 7th grade, and then CCD might have been the same year as Boy Scouts. But
good for you. I think that quitting things that we know does not serve us the deepest part is a blessing.
And I quit for real. Like, I walked into Boy Scouts, I had to tell everybody. My dad wouldn't let me quit things. He said, all right, you can quit the wrestling. So he said that's the only sport that you'll ever be able to quit. So he's like, I'm 5 years old, and he's like, just know this is the only sport that you can quit. And I'm 5, and I'm like, yeah, I don't get it. What are you talking about? So, but I never quit a sport after that. But then I guess the other things, he was like, well, there's only one CCD. All right, then you can. There's only one Boy Scouts. All right, then you can quit. But it's like, no more, you can't go to any other sports, though, which I respect that. I think that makes sense. That's a tough subject, though, for sure, on, like, is it bad to quit? Is it bad to let your kid quit something? I don't want to say I would raise my kids where they're not allowed to quit something, but I definitely would make it probably a little bit more contractual almost, where I go, okay, here's the deal. If you want to do this, then here's the things you have to accept. You can't quit. Okay, so then you got to look at it a little bit different, So, I don't know.
Devil's advocate, though, it's like, how do you know you like something? You might think you like something, but you don't until you actually try it.
Or you might not like it, and then you might do it more and more and more, and then learn to like it.
I cried the first day my dad brought me to soccer, but then I played soccer like until I was like 22 at a pretty good level. Like, I would have never known. But that's where I feel like we need a little bit of push, but we also need to be listened to. And I feel like kids are highly intuitive and like know themselves probably better than the parent, because the parent's trying to like kind of push themselves on the child in some ways, like, this is how we do it, this is it. But the kid also, I think, intuitively is very, very intelligent.
The parents are so far removed from that, so that's why, like, all they know is they've just had other adults telling them what to do, so,
or their own childhood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's been so long,
right, for
most of them, some of them not, but it's been so long that they don't remember what it's like, so then they're trying to understand, and then you can't understand a kid like fully. Now, teachers, though, they got a different thing going. Like, my girlfriend's a teacher. She, props to her. I think she has a layer that's as close as you're gonna get, for sure.
God bless, yeah.
I think them even more than parents, because parents are with the kid all day. Now I could see her kid a little more objectively, and that's why. Or she had a parent. My son knows to hit people when they hit. If he knows to hit people, that's what she said. Okay, bet. Let's bring this girl in. He was supposed to hit her. It's like, there's so much shit. So then I'll have her tell a full story, but then as a teacher, you got to go, okay, yeah, I do definitely have a different view on these kids, and now I got to tell them what to do. It's tough. I mean, but I do agree that kids have they haven't broken through the society wall yet, or like went through that door yet. And then there's a point where you go through the door and then you close it. Yeah. And then to get back through the door, you don't want to go back through that door, like we were saying, when you're 40 or 50. Yep. You want to stay knowing that, okay, I'm on this side or I'm on that side, but I know what side I'm on. Those kids never go, they eventually, once they hit the 16, 18, 22, 24, whatever, they'll go through the door. But that creativity and just that imagination, that gets beat out of us.
Absolutely.
Because we have 100-year-old system. That's the problem. 1,000-year-old system.
Yeah,
that's really
rough.
The thing.
Yeah.
The major issue.
I mean, I'm very interested in like child-led learning and kind of a balance between homeschooling, but not for like the religious purposes, because I think a lot of us have that in our mind, like they're weird. Like that can be the idea, but more of like child-led learning where it's more applicable learning. Like you have some structure where it's like, let's do some math, but then you go out into the world and it's like, okay, well, if I give you $10, how many apples can you buy? Like, I'm interested in that kind of learning. Yeah. And also like letting the child just kind of explore interests. But also, I don't have kids, so I don't know. I'm just interested.
Yeah, we have to always put the caveat when we don't have them.
Yeah, I have no children, so I have no leg to stand on.
I think weirder is if you're an only child, you're weirder in my book. If you're homeschooled, I got questions. I'm just interested. If you're an only child, dude, you're a weirdo to me. But hey, that's the game. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look. No, but that's a naive. Obviously, not all.
I'm
only
guessing you have siblings.
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
See, I don't
you were close.
I'm freaking close, dude. Like, one guy didn't, do his thing, and dude, it would have just been me, because I was the first one, so it would have been. My sister's great, though. She's the balance. Which is great.
We need that.
Yeah, she was like the good kid, not rebellious. Like,
I think the first has to be rebellious. We have to pave the way. We have to come home way too late. We have to do things that make the parents mad.
Yeah, we got to push it.
Yeah, we got to push it.
Because we have to see where the boundaries are.
And then I always joked to my brother and sister because they were like angels. I was like, guys, I paved the way for you.
Yeah,
and you don't even respect me?
I know, right? Take a shot or something. Let's get hammered. Whatever. What are we going to do? I don't know. But that's just one version of it. Yeah, nah, for sure. I mean, I don't think all rules are meant to be broken, but I think the boundaries are meant to be pushed, you know, for sure. If you're not living that, if you're not at least testing them a little bit just to see. Yeah. I just don't take people's word for things.
Yeah, it gets me into some trouble because I hear no and I'm like, but have you thought about this or like this? And my husband's like, Bridget, this probably works really well in business, but it probably isn't your best quality in a relationship because I just push.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, we can totally fix this now.
I'm always thinking of like ways that we can make it happen.
Yeah.
And it's like one of my greatest qualities and also like challenging to be, you know, married to me.
Yeah, well, I think listen, we don't have the guy here, but you know, it would be interesting to have him too. I feel like.
Oh, he's interesting.
Would he do a podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He's very interesting. He teaches breath work actually.
No way. Some Wim Hof type of vibes?
Yeah, he teaches Wim Hof.
Wim Hof is dude. Yeah. I think I have a pretty good lung capacity from doing Wim Hof. Honestly,
it's amazing. It's amazing. It really is. I love watching like some of his videos around healing like cancer and stuff like that. Like people have been like, yeah, I just don't have it anymore. I'm like, interesting. Or Joe Dispenza's work around that too.
Joe Dispenza's good.
Yep.
Inflammation. You just got to learn a lot about inflammation.
Yeah.
And there's just, I just try to do one thing at a time. You know, I actually just hit up my friend Jack, who we've had on here twice. Bodybuilder. He's crazy. Just went for his pro card. I think he took 6th. He's killing it.
Wow.
Yeah, this dude, I mean, he did it. Like, he would look, I don't know, he was like average size, like regular size, workout size. And then just 3 years later, you know, competition
That's like
level.
such dedication. I really like honor people that can do that.
Oh yeah, it's madness. You don't realize pain. That's pain. Like, that is real when you haven't been dehydrated.
Yeah.
Just, if you're a wrestler, yeah, I'd say you probably get it a little bit, but that's a different wave. But I hit him up today because not that I've been slacking, I don't know. I've designed so many workout plans for myself and I've done them all and I'm just getting a little bored. And I'm like, I want a fresh perspective here. I'm like, I want to like hire you. Let's do a consultation or something and just take me, whatever, like look at the pictures, be like, all right, you should do this. Like, I just want like the fresh, an audit. Yeah. So I hit him up today and I'm
body
like,
audit.
Yeah. I was like, dude, can you do like a consultation? And he's like one of my really good friends. And so I didn't know if he would ask me or if like how he, you know, if he wants to do it or whatever, but he was like, yeah, like he started asking me a couple questions, but I like, that's another thing too, to get the outside perspective. But it's, how are you can't, even if you have this mindset of like multi-passion or like really consistent in your habits or your daily practice, you might need help on some of these things. And so I thought my entire life I'm never going to have a coach. I'm one of these guys too, is like, fucking coach, what are you, just do what you my thing is everybody knows what they have to do. It's just they just don't do it.
It's true.
Turns out me too. So I get the value, and until I coached people and until I got paid for it, then I didn't, because at the end for me I was like, damn, that was easy.
Yeah.
I feel like
did I just get paid?
I probably said 30 words in 1 hour.
That's the best. You just ask a question.
And I was like, oh, this is another thing. So then I realized once I actually coached before I got coached on anything. So I was just, I never knew. No, I didn't know what the other side was like. So now I kind of have it a little bit now that I've been, like, I'll pay people. I need to do something. Say I got to do email marketing, which I'm about to do. I have like 50 email addresses. So I found the email guy. Because normally I would be like, fuck coaches. Like the same thing. I know what I have to do. I'm just not doing it. Get on YouTube. Learn it.
Yep.
I'm good. I'm skipping steps now. Jack, train me. You know?
I love that.
Jacob, teach me email. Like, let's go. I'm using people now.
I love that. I need a little like reminder of that for myself. Because I'm like very much I can do anything I set my mind to mentality, which is 1000% true, and it's like gotten me to where I am today. So like, yes, it works, and I'm growing a company that's growing, and it can't be just me. Like I will burn out and it will be not sustainable and it won't be fun anymore. So I need help, I need support, I need the team, and I also need like people to support me so I can keep going and like, you know, not deconstruct.
Delegation has blown my mind. Delegation has changed me as a person. Like, I look at life differently because of delegation.
I'm still getting used to it.
I'm really bad at it. That's the
same.
Yeah. You gotta micromanage.
Yeah.
Or not. Well, see, that's the thing that people say. They're like, oh, micromanage is terrible. I'm like, dude, if you have like 3 people working for you, all you're doing is micromanaging. Like, until you have like a playbook.
Yeah.
Until you know what's gonna go wrong. And if you don't know what's gonna go wrong, you gotta sit there and make sure nothing's going wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've had to like learn that I work extremely fast, and like when I get an idea, it's like all speed ahead. And I think Gabby was talking about this with you too, like just really, really fast. We're also generators in human design, if you know anything about human design.
I like the term. I just don't know what it means.
It's like based on your birth chart and like the I Ching and like some, I don't know anything. I'm just a generator, and so is Gabby. But what I've also recognized with delegation is like not everyone moves at the same speed. And I'm like, come on, go faster.
Yeah. Make it happen, man. Make
it happen. And so patience has been like my lesson, which of course, patience. Thank you.
Are you a Gary Vee fan at all?
You know, I know who he is. Yeah. I don't know.
No, it's just every time I hear patience now, oh my God, I'm like, just think about it.
That does sound like his voice.
I guess that's the point of the videos.
In his voice too.
Yeah. NFTs, man.
He does have a really high voice.
I just do Mickey Mouse voice for him. It kind of works. You know? Like, that's kind of like... I met him. He's a really nice guy. I know. I've talked to his father for way longer than I talked to him. But wow. Sasha's really cool. Yeah. My neighbor is his dad's landscaper. So
my neighbor is his dad's. Okay.
Yeah. So then I just did the name drop on his dad. And then he was like, oh, yeah. And then we just hit it up. I
was
that. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, like, wasn't filmed, didn't get a picture, didn't get nothing, just talked to him in the parking lot for 10 minutes.
But that's the real
shit.
The real connection.
Shit. Really nice guy. But yeah, patience that's the thing that I learned too, where I'm like, oh wait, patience isn't just when things are going bad, it's when things are going really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like really, really, really bad, almost to the point where other people are like, hey dude, you wanna like turn the ship around? Like, you're sinking, bud. You know? Like, that's when you have to tell everybody else it's not crazy. That's when the patience is really sets in, too. Or the people working for you are going, I don't know. Like, one time, this was like June, maybe May. I was like, listen, guys, we got like 60 days here, or we're done. And that's it. And we turned it around. We made it happen, you know? Wow. But I had never thought I would have to do that. I just floated by in business. I was like, yeah, cool. Things are humming. And then once the savings starts going, and you're like, oh, wait, this is like not good, you know? So that happened to me once, but for sure. It's going to happen to me 10 more times, probably.
Damn, that's a lot. This reminds me of like what one of my teachers says about like the purpose of a spiritual practice, especially Kundalini yoga. Do you know what Kundalini yoga is?
Can you explain it? Because even if I know a little bit,
we'll do the like.
Yeah, do the deep dive.
So the way I describe it is think of like traditional yoga, you know, handstands, warrior 2, and like throw it out the window. We're bringing in the weird for Kundalini. So Kundalini yoga is the yoga of awareness that like awakens the dormant potential in your body through like the spinal movement, through chanting, through mudra with your hand gestures, through breath techniques, through meditation, of course, and through postures. And it's like weird. And one of my teachers says, you do the weird in the practice so you can handle the weird of life. I love that. But another purpose is when the outer pressure of the world or your business like becomes more intense and requires more of you, you do more of the inner practice to basically like boost your levels. And like, I love that. I can even like see it too. You know, it's like maybe you're not taking care of yourself, but the world is like, your clients are coming at you. You know, like the world, like shit's just hitting the fan, right? We've all had those moments. You do the inner practice. Doesn't make logical sense, right? It's like, I should be doing like the work things. You do the inner practice to boost.
And the work things for sure.
And the work things, of course.
But yes, personally, and that's the separation is difficult. I haven't made a determination on, is there a true separation? There's not a separation between life and business. I don't think so. No. I mean, if you're living that life,
it's very enmeshed.
I can't imagine your life is good. If you're like, this is my business, this is my life. That seems like that's a story you're telling yourself and not reality to me. Because I want them to be intertwined. Like, I want to shut off at the end of the day and not have to answer a call, for sure.
Yeah.
That's boundaries. That's not life and business separating each other. I'm me, and that's the nice thing. This is probably what you do too. Like, oh yeah, that's what I said on the podcast. I'm me on the podcast. I'm me right here. I'm me talking to Tret. I'm me outside. I'm just me. Like, that's me.
Absolutely.
Kind of what you get, you know?
We need more of that.
If you're in a job where you can't do that, like, sure, I'm on a sales call. I'm doing sales. I'm in sales mode. I'm guiding you down a journey.
You're probably still nice
questions.
and funny, though.
I try to be.
Yeah.
I try to just be real. You know what I've done recently, too? Or what happened the other day was just this guy gets on, I think tank top, hat, you know, I got the beard now. He's like, man, I read your posts, but you seem just, he's like, you're not as polished as like your LinkedIn profile or something like that. And I was like, damn, dude. I was like, that's like, for real, I'm not, but because I don't talk like this on there. Like, I don't type posts like this.
Yeah.
I do. I sometimes, you know, intertwine my vernacular into there, but it's mostly cut and dry. It's like the same format over and over and over again, really. And I love it because I write a lot and it gets me to write, but it was just interesting to see this person doesn't know me at all, saw the perception and then saw the reality. And so now I wear polos and stuff, but like I wear them a little bit less. Like I'm like really trying to like backwards hat this shit and just, because I feel like that's really what I need to give out. Like if somebody wants me in a suit or something, or wants to hire a company that wears
that's not you
things a certain and then I'm gonna show up not like that, and they're gonna be like, but on the call you were like this or something, you know. So, but that guy wasn't even coming at me or nothing. I took it as a compliment.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. One thing, I mean, for me is that if someone wants to do a networking call, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not sitting on Zoom though. Like, you're gonna come for a walk with me. I'm going for a walk. I'll call you on the phone. I just care too much about my time, and like I hate sitting on a computer. So like if someone doesn't like that, I'm probably not gonna do the Zoom call with them. I
have the option, which I like.
That is nice.
Yeah, if you want on a connection call. If it's business, we're on Zoom, bitches.
Then you can like show them things.
Yeah, I'm trying to like, this shit's expensive, son. Like, get on Zoom. Like the woods is dope. I live in the woods. I walk 3 times a day. You know, but true. I think that balance is good though. If I have 12 calls one day, dude, I want like 0 the next day. And
it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean the most I'm gonna have is 8, maybe 10. But
I think I even have to do less than that. I like really don't like calls.
Oh, I like calls. I get fired up. Even if I'm on Zoom sitting there, I'm fired up. Now I do need a standing desk. That'll fire me up even more.
Help.
I gotta get that going. Yeah. But if I didn't have all the studio and everything, but yeah, but I get you. You got your balance though. If your business is doing its thing,
it is.
If it's humming, then you're good. And like you said, you're only taking people who are down with that.
Yeah, I'm very picky about who I work with. I say no to money, which is a new thing.
Just started doing it.
Doing it.
This is where I'm at right now. I'm not going to name this guy's name. He wouldn't listen to this, but if you do, hey, cool, man. But he's giving me vibes where I'm like, I don't want to work for this guy.
You know.
And I know I have money, or he has money, sorry. I have some. He has probably more. I want it. But it's like, okay, can you explain this? And I want to email him and just be like, dude, like, I'm good, you know? And I've done it with other things. I've even done it with the business for sure. But now it's not even, before it was like, well, they just don't have enough money. Mm-hmm. I won't bend. Mm-hmm. Now it's, they have enough money. I won't bend. Mm-hmm. That's a freaking level to be on. Now, we need it. We're not going to die without it. It'll help. It's going to help. If we lose it, it's not going to destroy us or anything. We'll just keep going on the same track we are. But you feel indebted too, because I did all that work to get the lead, to get the call, to 8 months later be this close to the sale, to then maybe be like, I don't like the vibes.
I hear you. I had a phone call with someone who, it was a really cool idea. It was like merging companies together, creating like an imprint, and I didn't feel good about it. Like, just didn't make me feel good, base level. And all logic would say, this is a really smart business decision. Like, business will come in from this where you won't have to do sales. I mean, that's ideal, right? Mm-hmm. Where you don't have to be selling and you just get referrals. But in my whole body, I was like, nope. And I said no. And I honestly feel like when you say no, the yes comes in from a different angle you weren't even expecting. Yeah,
and the problem is then it's only you at that point who can justify the no, you know? And it's nice to have my partner. Like, I'm the end all be all. Like, I'm the founder, but he runs a lot of the kind of operations. Like, he runs like a whole section of the business. He also is some of the talent, which is interesting too, because he kind of sees it from all the angles. But I'll go to him with this, and then he'll have a perspective on it. Or the thing that he hates, which is so funny, is these like really, really expensive coaching for like a very kind of ethereal outcome. And I love people so much, so I get fired up about people sometimes. And then I find myself explaining it to him, and I go, wait, this is actually like really dumb, you know? And then he'll just check it. And then what we do now is we would have people come to us who would be like, well, I'll fix this, I'll help you fix that. Then they come to us and we go, okay, we're doing 3 out of those 5, like, you're out. So now whenever, if somebody wants to come and help my business, I just say to them, if you bring us any ideas that we already do, we're going to end the call immediately. So, like, it better be amazing. New, and I'm not paying for it. Like, not at this stage. Because I don't even know you. So it's just, like you said, with the turning things down, even when you want it or even when you know, that too. It's just, it starts to hit you from all angles. I was floating on referrals for a long time. And then that's when the slump hit, when those were dried up. Yeah. And it was it economy? Was it this? Was it that? Who knows what it really was? It doesn't, it is what it is. Seasons, right? Of business and life. And then I go, August will be a light month. I worked more than I worked in the past 6 months before that. And so then I go, yep, I can't predict anything. I just do what I do. It comes back to the habit. It's like you just do what you do every day.
You
it's
just keep going, even if the result's not in front of you right away. And that's that's when most people give up, when the result's not in front of them right away. But we're in it for the long game. Like, we'll come back to endurance sports. You want to give up when you're running 15 miles. There are many moments, but you don't. You just keep up. And then one day you look around your life and you're like, oh shit, I did all this.
Do you take breaks? Do you take like breaks from work or mental health breaks, as some people call it? Do you find yourself doing that?
Not totally. I'm like very boundary oriented. Like, this is really late for me, which I told you, right? So I work like 10 to maybe 4. Weekends, no. Like, I will not take a podcast. I will not do a call on a weekend. Like, that is my time where I'm with my family. I'm not doing Bridget work things. And I have very just like strict boundaries on that. And it works for me. So yeah, I'll go away and stuff, but I don't necessarily take like a full mental health break.
But you designed the work-life balance that it is like that, so you really don't get so burnt out that you would need some massive break or something like
that. That's the idea. Yeah, and actually sometimes when I'm like away from the business for too long and I don't even like look at the email, I feel overwhelmed. So I actually like being like, my business is me. Like, it's so much me. So I don't feel guilty that I like to look at my email anymore. It actually helps me feel better, and I feel more prepared. Like, when I go back in, I feel more stressed out in work if I take a complete, like, don't look at anything and then come back to all those emails. I'd rather, like, just kind of go with it. And eventually hiring someone to, look through those emails so they can answer them for me.
Tuesday, after a 3-day weekend even, I'm getting nervous about this email. I didn't even open it yet. Man, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's like I left a corporate job because I didn't like the Sunday scaries, and I'm not really willing to allow that to creep back into this life.
My Sunday night, catch me watching a podcast. Yeah. I might be drinking a beer.
I'm chilling.
Maybe I'll smoke a cigar or something. Yeah. I'm like just hanging out.
I'm laying, probably eating dried mangoes.
Yeah. So
Are you eating dried mangoes?
I mean, apricots.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a dried apricots guy if I'm going dried. Mango's not bad. I love mangoes.
Trader Joe's is the best. You don't have a Trader Joe's in here.
I don't got shit.
No, you don't.
I got like some.
I'll bring you some next time.
I have a couple chickens that lay me some eggs. But that just gets me through my morning. Yeah. After that, I got to go forage, man. I'm hunting and gathering out here, man. I'm
impressed. I'm very impressed. I do have a garden.
Oh, that's good. I have a pasture, but it's just grass. I have every excuse to I could grow corn on my property.
You could have a farm.
I could have I mean, I legitimately, like, I grew up with a horse and stuff like that. Yeah, like, it was fun. It was awesome. I could have went. It's funny. My friend who lives in an apartment building has a garden. I don't know.
No excuses.
See, there's a plant. See that plant over there?
Yeah.
That sad excuse for a plant? That's the only plant who's ever lived under my watch.
Wow.
And this is the first time in my life.
Wow. What's this? Oh, it's fake. Sorry.
No, it's supposed to be fake. It's fake. for a reason.
Oh.
Yeah, it's supposed to. No, for sure. Because I can't have a living over there. Like, I'm good on one plant. I have a habit now. See, habit. I water the plant. See, that was my problem with these other plants. Wasn't watering them often enough because I didn't build it as a habit. It was a second thought.
Yeah.
Am I crazy? I don't know. Could I have a dog? It would be scary. You know.
I think
I need
you
to have
do well.
I would be fine with it. But my thing is, I don't want any, like, no, I'm good. Like, I gotta focus. I got me things going on, and then it kind of reaches that, I guess maybe that point. But so, how long have you been working for yourself now?
Since 2016.
Okay, so how long is that?
6 years.
6 years. Cool.
Yeah, with some intermittent spurses. I supported someone else's coaching business for a little while. I also worked. I still teach yoga on the side. I like my in-person classes. All my clients are online, so like being with other humans in person, like I need that. But yeah, all of my income now is from myself, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So do you have people working for you? Or is it just you?
I do. Yeah, so with publishing also, like, we have someone who edits the books. We have someone who does the interior formatting of the books, because that sure ain't me. We have someone who designs the cover. I support with the marketing. Sometimes I bring someone else with the marketing and promotion side. I have a online business manager that supports us. Sometimes people do social media. So, yeah.
So is that, okay. So, yeah, so those people, they're more mostly freelance capacity.
Yeah, most of them are, like, project-based.
Project-based. Yes. Yeah, I feel you on the not being the person who's the project based. Like, you own the projects. Like, that's for me at least too, it's better because I have freelancers that come to us. Or I had one guy who edits our audio, and he's like, dude, like, I cannot do Upwork. He's like, I just can't sit here and bid on 100 things a day. Like, absolutely. I can't cold call 100 people a day. It's just not happening. I'm gonna like die. Like, I'm gonna kill myself because I hate my life. Like, that's where you get to, and it sounds like I'm exaggerating. It's fucking bad, dude. It's like, imagine if you work a regular 9 to 5 and you like it. Imagine instead of that, you had to go find a job, and every day was just hoping that you'd find a job.
That'd be so overwhelming.
Yeah, and then 1 out of every 1,000 you get one, and then they pay you like $20.
Yeah,
like, that's not even fucking exaggerating.
Yeah,
like, that's what I did 100%. And so when people come to us, and I told my partner this, I said, we're not going to be able to do this to the extent that we wish we could. We can't have a utopia, at least not yet. But I want to be a freelancer's dream. Like, I want to. Do you want to get paid for the sample? Yes. Okay, paid for the sample, right? Like, things where I don't argue anything, right? How do you want to get paid? There's things where if you work for us, you have to do this, and it's no questions asked. But the stuff that would be not even mentioned, or not, you would be scared to even ask another company. We want to be the people that you can ask, and then we'll at least tell you yes or no. But like, there's an open forum to have that happen, you know. And so there's this frustration of these people which I was in that position, just trying to find their next, like, it paycheck to paycheck. Nah, fam. Like, job to job. Like, you get a job 1 month, you get a windfall, then 3 months goes by and you're in a drought and you're eating ramen noodles. Like, that's with a 9 to 5. At least if you're at a pretty predictable company, which not everybody's at, most people probably are not, but at least you know that you have a drip. You know that I have a constant drip, and that drip, as long as I show up, doesn't go away.
This is the conversation between my husband and I. Will have to have him come a lot. You know, he has a very, very steady, stable job that's very location based, which is our challenge, because if we ever want to leave here, that's going to be a different conversation. But mine is just whatever I put into it, and it's at a much more stable place because I have some like projects in the pipeline. But still, I don't know. You know, he gets a paycheck every week actually, so there's that type of stability, which, you know, we're risk takers as entrepreneurs. Like, this is just it's a risk world. We're just making it up as we go sometimes too. And we're just like keeping up.
Everything. That's why the perception is fun, because people will see just whatever perception, or you have a business, or people will say to me, oh, you must have a lot of money. Like, you do this, or you do this podcast or something. It's like, nah, all the money goes to my people. Right. You know, that's just how it works. Yeah. And I chose that. But at the same time, you know, listen, I take some. I have my side gig, which is DJing, you know, I love that. That's my yoga teaching. You know, it's real people. Yeah. It's 100 to 200 of them. Like me asking you about your wedding, that fires me up. Like I'm excited about that shit, you know, because, and it works perfect because I'm here all day and I'm doing the grind virtual. And then on the weekend I go out and I have fun and I get paid to party most of the time, you know, and it's not, there's his frustrations for sure with anything. But yeah, I feel like I kind of caught that balance. But yeah, it's not there's a lot of glorification. And I was saying in my podcast too, I'm like, if you think an ad on Instagram is to buy this course to make you the money is your calling, then you just haven't lived. Like you're just way too naive, because that person is banking on you thinking that. It's designed. This is not a, oh my God, a sign. That ain't it. It's the thing that's in the corner, that guitar you got to dust off, that passion that's really been a little bit hard for you to pick back up again. That's the thing. Yeah. That's actually the thing that's harder to do. Yeah. You know, so. Yep.
Social media is a beautiful thing, a beautiful tool. It's allowed me to have a platform, you know, and be able to reach thousands of people, which is so cool. And at the same time, this over glorification of having a business is easy, I think is not good, right? Because then you have people who leave jobs that are like supporting their family and think that they're going to be making $10,000 a month right away. Like that's a lie. You always have to put in work for anything that you do. You know, building a community takes time. Building up a referral network, it takes time. Building up a client base, like building your systems and processes and procedures and like paying your taxes, like this is a big thing. And it's not for the faint of heart. It takes time, it takes dedication, it takes devotion. And to think that you're going to like sit on a beach and not do anything, that's a lie, because you forgot about all the shit that they did before they were sitting on that beach.
Yeah, and that's, I was saying with Gabby, that's not even real. Yeah. Like that picture is put there. Like those people aren't working. They pull out their laptop, they take a picture, and they close you're not doing anything in that. Like I just know. You're not working. You're not working on the beach. I know it.
We'll need to interview one of them.
Let's get it. If they are, I'd love to know how.
Yeah.
Because, man, people watching is my third favorite pastime. I will I'm in the airport. I'm like, baby, you see that guy? You see him? Look at that guy. And I'm just looking at people. I'm like, that guy's crazy. Look, you know, or whatever, some person. And like, I'm so upset. So I can't. I follow this one entrepreneur, Alex Hormozy. Are you familiar with him?
No.
Alex and Layla Hormozy. You should check them out. They're like a massive like business power couple. Got together because of like shit that I don't understand. Like got together because of business, and it's a weird relationship for sure. But his office is a room with no windows. It's just a siloed room and just a wall. And I'm like, I get that though. That tree out there distracts the shit out of me.
You stare at it all the time.
Oh yeah, squirrels.
Yeah, I like
there's a group of family of squirrels in that tree, dude. If I have the window open, I'm hearing them. They're like communicating, and they're communicating and shit. And I'm like kind of I'm like trying to figure it out. I mean, this is me, but I have ADHD. If you didn't know,
you're like starting a new rap based on the squirrels outside your window.
All right, guys, can you do that? Run that back. I need that.
One more time.
I'm good, but yeah, distractions are a motherfucker for me. I don't know how we got there, but ADHD, but.
I don't remember.
So what was the point that got you into this business? Because it's not, you know, linear. It's not, you know, there's ups and downs. But so when you left your job though, there must have been a time period when you're like, okay, I need to start doing this business or maybe do what I want to do. And like you said, you worked for other people kind of on and off as well. But was there a moment when you're like, all right, I'm like taking the jump, like I'm taking the risk? And like, what was that like, that before and after the jump, quote unquote?
I would say for me, it wasn't like a jump. It was just like, you just do, like you just go. So when I got back from the yoga teacher training, I was like, well, I just became a yoga teacher. I guess I should start teaching. So I found classes. I have no idea why they hired me, right? I had no teaching experience, but I found a bunch of classes. I also started working for a nonprofit that supported young adults with autism. So I would go and hang out with them and we would do yoga, meditation, stuff like that. So that was probably the first year. Then I ended up doing a holistic health coaching certification. So then I started into coaching. That was like my coaching entrance. And I really realized I didn't want to just talk about health and the food we eat. Like, I'm much more full spectrum. Like, yeah, but like, what do you think about yourself? Like, who do you surround yourself with? Like, I wanted to do like a much deeper dive. with people. So I began coaching. I started hosting women's circles in my local community. So at this point, I've been teaching yoga, started hosting women's circles and workshops. So I began to like grow a little local community.
Like, did you put up a flyer? Like, how'd you do
in
that?
The yoga studios? So like they would come to my class and I'd be like, okay, like we're doing this yoga, we're doing this women's circle where we're gonna like chant. You know, I got to bring the chanting in. I just love
this was like your own thing though. This is your own class.
Yeah. So I would host my own like women's circles, which is literally just, you know, women sitting in a circle. We would probably reflect, we would like sing a little, we'd share. It was a good time. I was doing some coaching on the side, but like this was slow. Like I was probably making maybe like $20,000 a year, something like that. Mm-hmm. Like this was exactly what I needed at that time. And again, like my method isn't sexy. I just kept up. I just kept going. Like I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. I started getting more workshops, so I started getting paid more. And I realized also at that time that like if I wanted to make $1 million or whatever, teaching yoga for $30, having to drive to the studio, and then getting taxes taken out of that $30 was not going to be my pathway there. So I got really honest with myself and was like, okay, I need to pivot. I want to do coaching full time. I'm going to work with someone else and support their business so I have more income coming in so I can do some more trainings, get some more certifications, like learn more about online marketing. And again, I just kept going. I kept going. I moved into the space of supporting entrepreneurs where I was mostly helping them use live video to sell their programs. So I was teaching them how to speak on video, how to talk about things, sales, marketing, which is like my background also. So bringing that in.
That was in COVID or when was that?
Yeah, this was 2019.
Oh, okay.
Before.
Okay, so you started the video thing though before. This was just an idea that you had, or?
Yeah. I had been.
You were
doing
like,
this.
These videos suck. These people need help.
So here's what I've been doing. Talk about like consistency. I started a Facebook group. I don't know, changed name like 5,000 times. Every single week, I'd go teach on a topic. I'd just go show up and teach. And people started coming to the classes. Like they came every single week to like listen to what I had to say. I was like, oh, what? And I would start to like sell them on workshops from that. So like I really started building a community at that time, and I've been using live video myself at this point. And I started to realize that I was building the know, like, and trust factor almost immediately because they saw me. Like I was just being a human. I was being Bridget. I was just teaching. I was like connecting with them. I was probably making dumb jokes. And then I was like, hey, do you want to like do this thing with me? And like then they would pay me. And I was like, oh, is this how it works? And I just kept going. And then from there got into publishing. I was literally just given an opportunity of like, hey, do you want to do a multi-author book? Which is where multiple people co-author a book.
Somebody asked you to do that.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I do want to do this. Amazing networking opportunity. Amazing way to get published without having to write the book on your own.
Loopholes, people.
Loopholes. They do all the editing. They do everything that I do now. And then I was like, this is awesome. So I added it on to my services. Like I was already helping people with visibility and publicity and speaking. And I was like, these same people want to do publishing. They want to be published authors. So that's really where the business got to expand, because now I get to work on multiple books at once. Like we're doing a cookbook. It's cool.
Wow. I really appreciate that story. Yeah. Do you think that when it comes to the books, I look at this, how some people look at a podcast, I think too, or maybe a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Because I get these messages. I got one the other day. Hey, would you want to do a book? We do books, whatever. And I'm like, dude, reach back out in 3 to 5 years, you know, and probably 15 till I do something on a book on my own. Are you kidding me? You know, and then I think I'm surprised more people don't say that to these people. I guess people are just fired up. My name cannot be on a book. My name can be on a podcast that sucks. I don't care. My name cannot be on a book that's not like a bestseller or something like that. Yeah. I just feel like I cannot have anything close to a mediocre book. I don't know. I don't know why. So, you know, maybe you could school me a little bit, but not that that's not what you do. It's just, do a lot of people have that? Do they go in having an expectation of what their book's going to do? Because ultimately the audience is always right? So the audience will tell us if this podcast is good or not. They'll always tell you if your book's good or not, your music, your rap, whatever it is. But I think about that, I'm like, nah, book though, it's got to be like it's got to be 4-hour work week for me, or whatever the example is, you know?
I'll say like my personal opinion on this, which is like dream big but start small. So I think back to like the first video I ever recorded of myself, which is probably cringeworthy and terrible. And then I got to be interviewed on live TV. And it's like, TV was the goal, right? but I wasn't going to go to the goal right away. So devil's advocate, I would also say that like planting the seeds for yourself and patterning that you are an author, I think is important. And at the same time, I hear what you're saying. People do use books as like a physical calling card these days. You know, like you can give it to people and you can send your podcast to people, but there's a luxury to physical these days because everything is digital. So there's something that sets someone apart when they can
books on the table from
people. And guests. I was like, oh, should I bring a book tonight? There is something that sets you apart. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Or it could be valuable to 500 people, and that could be that could change people's lives. Mm-hmm. So when I look, it's kind of the thing of like you need somebody else to tell you what you're already telling people. Mm-hmm. Like that's what I say to people. I had 2 examples. One of them, 100 downloads an episode. They're like, it's a failure. I stopped. Mm-hmm. Other one, 500 downloads per episode, 2,000 downloads a month. Like that's when if you have those type of downs, I can set you up with like custom partnerships with companies for no cost to you, just part of my business. That's a level that people strive to be at.
That's my goal.
Yeah. And I don't have any like download like goals, but that level, there's people on that level who quit. So then you look at that where it's like, oh, this podcast might have changed people's lives, but for you personally set a weird expectation that has nothing to do with anything really. So there's high expectations have ruined a lot of great projects for sure, mm-hmm. Because people are like, well, it's not going to be the next this. Fuck it.
I think that's an important reminder to like take ourselves out of the equation sometimes, and this is when I get like a little bit woo, but I think ideas come from something so much greater than us, and like ideas come to us for a certain reason because we are the ones to like, we have the choice, we have the free will to like bring it forth or not. And what if it's just about being the vessel for something that needs to come out to the world? Even if one person listens to it, is that one person enough? Like, and then they go and tell their friends. Like, if you think big picture ripple effect, one is more than enough, and maybe none, right? Just to get it out there. Maybe no one listens. I don't know. Yeah. I just don't want to give up.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And the market will tell you as well. It might not tell you now. And that's the thing about a podcast too, with like some podcasters understand, which is like this episode is not for next week or tomorrow or 2 months from now or even 2 years from now. This is one brick, And so all of this is a brick a day. But I want to also touch on what you just mentioned, which I like how Stephen Pressfield puts it. I'm not sure if you've read The Art of or The War of Art. It's called. It's a play on The Art of War, but it's a completely different book. But it's essentially about resistance, is what he calls it, right? Mm-hmm. So like there's resistance between us and our work.
Yeah.
And no matter your excuse, it's resistance, right? So David Goggins, you can't overtrain. You can't. Because you barely train, right? So you thinking about overtraining is resistance. Right? You're getting caught up in the thing that's basically worrying, right, at that point, right? Anxiety almost. Stephen Pressfield calls the thing that you're referring to the muse. Mm. And so it's referred to that in many different texts and things like that too, but I agree with that. I don't know where it comes from. Could be coming from me. Like, I think 100% fact it could be coming from me, or 100% fact it could be coming from some other power. Mm-hmm. I don't know either way. I'm pretty agnostic on that one, but there's something happening for sure. And I think if somebody can take my idea, even if they stole my idea, if they make it successful, amazing. Like, that was the point of that idea.
Absolutely.
I'm not tied to the identity. My identity's not tied to the idea,
No, I have a lot of thoughts around like copying, kind of, so quote unquote
all art.
I don't really know if it can be technically copied. Okay, because if it's coming through a different vessel, how is it ever going to look the same? Like, you and I could have the same exact idea for a business, and you would do it so differently than I would do it, like so differently. And it's very interesting because I see a lot of people like hating on each other on Facebook and saying like, this person stole my entire program, yada yada yada, I taught them this. And I'm like, isn't that the point of a teacher? They teach you things and then you go on and use them. I don't know. I have some thoughts around this though.
Yeah, I agree. No, I'm with you on that. I think if anybody can take, or even I had a kid he booked a couple calls with me to ask me about what I'm doing. And I realized what he was doing. Like, I realized that he does what I do in a very different capacity, like for a much bigger company and stuff like that. But I'm like, you know what? I'm at the end of the day, like, let me just give him the fundamentals, because then I can at least know if he does those, I don't mind helping him out. Yeah. You know, other people have a different perspective. They might not even want to talk to that person because maybe their ideas don't make sense, or they just, they don't have enough experience in the thing. But I'm like, well, I'm not going to waste my time. Like, if you want to pay me, I'll give you everything. Yeah. For sure. Like, I'm not going to do it for free, but I'm not going to hold back. I don't have secrets. Like you said, it's fucking consistency, man. Like,
absolutely.
If this person took your course, even if they signed a contract, like even NDAs, that's fucking not even real. That's like, everybody's breaking NDAs left and right. Yeah. It's like non-competes. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. The fact that, like, you could just name a company, they'll hire you as a janitor and you'll be in marketing. There's a workaround for everything. Like, that's boom. Now you're not in a non-compete anymore. So it's just, there's, if you don't know what that is, to check it out, Google it. It's actually a crazy fucking concept. I was explaining to my girlfriend on what this is, but just basically you're working, and you know what it is, but you're working in an industry, right? You're a marketer. You work in that industry for 15 years. You're working for this company for 15 years, and you sign a contract that says, I can't even work in this industry for a certain amount of time after this. What? If I can serve your clients better than you, get out of here. If you take my clients, listen, like, my clients fuck with me. If you're a client and don't fuck with me, I'll try to handle it. And then if we don't handle it, then you go on your way. Absolutely. Like, if you have somebody better, you should be with them. Yeah. But people are it's scarcity mindset. Somebody stole my course. For sure. Your course probably sucks, by the way, but
it's laughable to me. But I get where people are coming from, but I think they're forgetting the big picture. Once again, we're forgetting the big picture. This idea, I always get my best ideas like not thinking about the idea. I always get my best idea like driving here. I get my best idea like walking the dog or like sitting in meditation. I'm just like, oh shit, write this down. I always get my book titles like not thinking about the book. So I think it's important to zoom back out and be like, is this really what you're here to like fight about as a human on earth? That's dumb.
If you're sitting on Facebook, it's definitely not worth it.
Yeah, and then complaining about it.
Have you found yourself? I've found myself typing a comment before.
Oh, I love reading the comments. And that's my guilty pleasure, I will say.
Yeah. Oh, I like reading them. I was typing one the other day, and I go, "What am I doing here, boss?"
What's it called?
It's like 2:30 on like a Wednesday.
There's a term for them, like a keyboard warrior.
Yeah.
Keyboard warrior. I think that's so funny.
It's amazing. This is what I said too. Hey, asshole, has your mind ever gotten changed while reading something online? Oh, no, but you'll change other people's minds. It's not like the response is, well, I really appreciate your response. Let me go in with it. It's like, dude, you're literally yelling at people. People are yelling back at you. It's like, this is a cesspool of nobody's getting better or learning anything. But that's a whole, they're not awake. They have not done the work, not yet.
Yeah. And see, that's a pendulum. That's the reality transurfing. That's it right there. That's a pendulum. It's highly emotional. It's highly polarized. People are coming at each other from all angles. And guess what? When you sit in that muck, you'll never create something of your own. Never.
Yeah, because you'll just sit in that.
Because you're going to be like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
You'll never create something of your own.
Yeah, and you'll always be, you almost have to, you really do. I don't think being selfish is a bad thing. No. I think people say like, oh, you should just be selfless. I'm like, I don't agree with that. I don't even think being selfless is that good. Like, I think a balance of all these things. Yeah. Like, I don't think arrogance is bad. Like, right. I have friends who are arrogant, and I appreciate that they're arrogant because I'm like, holy shit, you have confidence. Yeah. I just want to hang out with you. Yeah. I don't want to be like you, but holy shit, you have confidence.
Or people who are like super direct. Like, my husband is so good at being like just so direct. I'm like, Eric, like, I need a little bit more of that. I think in women in communication tend to beat around the bush a little bit more. They like don't, and like thank God for Eric, because he really was like, just fucking tell me what you mean. And I'm like, oh, so if I tell you what I mean, you're gonna get it? He's like, yeah.
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah.
But directness, yeah, it's a great thing.
Yeah, but the balance, hey, sometimes you tell a little story. Sometimes you go, listen, it's a balance.
I'm a little wordy, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you add a little something in there for a little flavor flav,
Flavor flav.
Yeah, what a great person. So when you look on, on the horizon here, like what are you looking like? I think I'd really love to dive into the business a lot, but it's more of a personal thing, and I think we'll probably bookmark it. There's more than enough things to bookmark here for next time. But when you look on the what you're trying to achieve with what you're doing now, and you think about, and you're in those moments of like, damn, this is a grind, like this, but this is truly what I want to do. Like, what does that look like to you, if you know what I'm saying?
It is like a fully operational publishing company that has a little bit less of me in it. So that's challenging for me because I'm very much like pour my heart into everything I do. So it's a little bit less of me in it, more sustainable, more running on its own, which means like more systems, processes, and team and employees. And then where I want to put my focus is more speaking, more in-person events, more of this program called Visibility on Purpose, which teaches people how to be public and not be public, but teaches them how to present themselves publicly and pitch themselves to the media. Because I love equipping people with the tools to like go through the belly of the beast. I'm very much like the underdog kind of person. You know what I mean? Like my company, traditional publishing companies hate my company. I'm teaching people how to use and publish through Amazon. You know what I mean? Traditional publishers don't like that. They don't want people to know that they can do this themselves. I'm all about teaching people how to do it themselves. Grassroots.
I'm with you. If you're not for something, then you're for nothing for sure. But you know for sure when somebody's for something when they're also against something. And not that you're not against traditional publishing.
No.
You don't advertise
people.
that. Yeah. It's great. But at the same time, your whole thing is around achieving similar outcome by doing the opposite.
Yeah.
So, and I really appreciate that. And I think I've been diving in recently into where do I don't want to dig my heels in. I just want to go in a direction and then go, hey, this other stuff, cool. That's for them. But this is really where I'm going. And so for people listening, what is the, ideal person to work with you? Like what situation might they be in?
I mostly work with women entrepreneurs, although I'm so excited to work with some guys. I will say direct communication with men is really exciting in business. Like you're not like, I don't need to hold your hand. You know what I mean? I don't need to do all the inner work with a guy. So I appreciate that.
No, we just close that whole area off and put cones around it so then nobody has to go in there. So just tell us what
Sometimes I like to ask the good questions though. So I will say mostly I work with women entrepreneurs and business owners who have been in business a couple of years.
Yep.
They have success and they're just starting to look at like where else can they put themselves on the more visibility publicity landscape. So whether that's through a book, whether that's through understanding how to tell their story publicly. I do a lot of like deeper inner dive storytelling work, or they want to learn how to pitch themselves to the media without hiring a publicist, then they can come over in my world.
Fantastic. We will link everything in the show notes in the description. Thank you so much for doing this. I had a great time. I'm glad to have met you in person too the first time, which is so much fun, which doesn't happen a lot. A lot of times I get people on and this is the first time I ever met them. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun too. Fun. I can't wait to go to more of those. Is there anything else that you want to promote or touch on here before we wrap it up? I figure might as well ask.
You can listen to my podcast, She Builds Empires, available on all streaming platforms.
Listen to the podcast, dive in. I was just on your show. It was a lot of fun. You could check that episode out too. Thank you, Bridget, for doing this today.
Thank you. This was fun.
Awesome. Got to do the inaugural handshake on the podcast.
I'm literally sweating.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Bobcast Tret. Thank you, my brother.
Thanks, Tret.
Absolutely.
Great shirt today, too, buddy.
Thank you.
It's looking fresh. For those on the listening version, pop over to that YouTube guy. Check him out. I say it every single time, but you guys know the deal. We're on all platforms, even the ones nobody uses. Okay. We'll see you in the next one then.
Peace. What are the ones no one uses?